Hi everybody, I'm James Jefferies. I'm a data engineer for the charity Rewilding Britain. So I'm going to, in the 10 minutes I've got, cover what is rewilding, who are Rewilding Britain, what difference are rewilding projects making, and what next. So first of all, what is rewilding? I should say as well, I am not a rewilding expert. I'm a technologist really, but I've been learning a lot recently. So rewilding is the large-scale restoration of ecosystems to the point where nature can take care of itself. And for Rewilding Britain, the principles that we have that underlie that are supporting people and nature together, working at nature's scale, letting nature lead, creating resilient nature-based economies, and securing benefits for the long term. The UK is ranked 189th out of 218 countries for biodiversity intactness. That means that our biodiversity, as it should be, is completely knackered at the moment, and we've got a lot of work to do to move up that list. But with rewilding, some of the benefits, we can draw down carbon from the atmosphere and keep carbon in the ground, like in the Peak District. We can help wildlife adapt to what is at the moment inevitable catastrophic climate change. We can reverse that biodiversity loss. We can support diversified nature-based economies, and we can improve our health and well-being. The nearest project to us, you can see out the window over there, it's Burbage and the Eastern Moors. If you head out that way, you'll have noticed over the years that there aren't sheep there anymore, apart from at Longshore Estate. It's not a great map, it's from their website, but all that grey bit at the top and the green bit down there is one of our rewilding projects that we as a charity support. They've got longhorn cows there now, you'll see new trees growing and you'll see new trees that are being planted. And although the Peak District is beautiful in parts, it is actually in poor ecological condition. Here's an urban project. This is Allestree Park in Derby. I can point to it on here. It's this bit at the top here, and it's this bit at the top here, which is currently under consultation about becoming a rewilding project. And as you see, that is very close to Derby city centre, closer, I think, probably than Burbage and the Moors up there. But it is a park which they're looking to rewild. So who are Rewilding Britain? Well, we're a fully remote charity. There's about 25 people. We've been going for about 5 years. And our aim is for 30% of Britain's area to be in some form of rewilding by 2030, which is kind of the minimum we need to meet some of our targets that we have as a nation. So it's very ambitious. We don't run any of our own projects, but we do support over 1,000 projects through our rewilding network. We're not recommending introducing bears and wolves anywhere, but we do encourage studies around beavers, wildcats, pine martens, lynx, where appropriate. And it's really exciting, some of the things that are happening, certainly in Scotland at the moment, around wildcat introduction. Beavers are all over the place. If you go Devon or Cornwall, there's lots of places where there are beaver enclosures and places where they've escaped, and they are re-engineering the countryside around there, making it more flood resilient and more biodiverse. We're not looking at taking productive farmland out of use either, so there's no impact on food security. We can meet that 30% target without affecting the food that we grow. We only have one techie, and that's me. So we look at catalysing, so by encouraging things to happen and to change, influencing government policy and shadow government policy, and engaging as well. So those are the three sort of areas. Now my challenge as data engineer was how do we know the difference that we're making with the rewilding projects within our network, the difference to nature, to the economy, and to our communities. So the organisation had been using a CRM, so a customer or client relationship management system, which a lot of charities do use, and we're shoehorning the rewilding project data in there, and they'd phone up a project, they'd phone up the Burbage people and say, how many cows have you got at the moment, and so on. And that just isn't sustainable once you start getting beyond a handful of projects really. So what I did over Christmas and around then, I built a bespoke web application where we can then get the projects to fill in the data themselves, in effect. And with that, I'll push the right button. We built BERTHA, which is the secret code name for our very starter data platform. So I reviewed some of the off-the-shelf options that we had, including carrying on using the CRM. But to be honest, the user experience generally was terrible. And we know that our project people, A, aren't necessarily technical, and B, are very time poor. So we wanted a way that we could gather the data as simply and as quickly as possible. So I prototype a web design, a web app, and we use that. It has to synchronize and pull the data from the CRM still at the moment. And now we have data from about 50 of our projects and more to come. So some example stats that we've got. Our rewilding sites support an increased number of jobs, full-time equivalents. So from 153 pre-rewilding to 272 now. So for the limited data that we've got, we can see that we're creating jobs. Good jobs as well. And if we scale this up with a 30% vision, our rewilding projects could create 20,000 jobs, which is not insignificant for a nature-based economy. The volunteers have increased from 147 working in those areas pre-rewilding to an incredible 1,780 now. It's increasing. And of course, studies by the Wildlife Trust that we often work with show that that has a real positive effect on volunteers' mental health, being out and about. There's just two quick charts. The top one is showing the rewilding increase within our projects that we've got data for so far by year, and you can see towards the right, that's 2020, and towards this end it's shooting up. And the bottom one is some of the area, cumulative rewilding area, and you can see there that that is also zooming up at the end. So what next? Well, we can migrate the data from the CRM to just using BERTHA, which is something I think we probably should do. Let's try and keep this data in one place rather than shoehorning it in the wrong place. But we also need to explore options to expand new types of data. So things like LiDAR, which is light or laser imaging detection and ranging, satellite data, sound data. So rewilding projects will often have little sound recorders in places, and they'll monitor the audio for, overnight, for example, to just see what they can hear and then try and work out what differences they can hear. Biodiversity sampling, which is for the experts that do kind of that sort of thing, the amount of data that they can get from a 1 meter square section of land is ridiculous. Once you start multiplying that up, it all gets a bit hairy. And machine learning predictions. So as a charity, we're not doing this at the moment, but it was certainly interesting hearing the sort of work that Pete was doing. There are lots of people at the moment who are using satellite imaging and LiDAR to try and predict what could happen to land given things that have changed. And so that's something that we're interested in. Some of our projects are very involved in, but they're looking to us to say, how can we store that data? How can we compare that data? And what can we do about it? So, different options are to increase our data platform to make it cleverer and more flexible. To look at some of the other off-the-shelf packages to see if any of the needs meet our rewilding projects. But budget is an issue. There's lots of startups working in this area, and it's incredible, but the price is generally beyond what a rewilding project or charity would be able to pay. We're going to look at CCAN, which is open source data management system, but also we're completely open to ideas. So, thanks for listening. I've got a minute left. How about that? Cheers.